Yes, yes, yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cyber Safety Net Stay Safe Online, episode 115. My name is Mark Anthony Germanos. I will be the presenter today. And today I'm talking about why the planes couldn't take off on Wednesday morning, 3 days ago. Maybe you are impacted by an FAA screw up. If so, I'm sorry that happened. But here today I'm talking about redundancy or lack of redundancy, why the planes couldn't take off. And yes, I'm talking to you, FAA, because you did not have redundancy on a mission critical database. Back in episode 102, I introduced the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, availability. And here we're talking about a database that needs to generate alerts that pilots use to verify that they can have a safe trip. And that was not available on Wednesday morning. I'd say we are within the availability domain of the CIA triad. Also, back in episode 104, I introduced the concept of redundancy. And back then, I was talking about redundant drives, but today I'm talking about redundancy with a database. And how about if I do this? So back then, in episode 104, I talked about servers that had redundant drives, which is a good thing because if one of them dies, then the other one stays up and running. It keeps the server up and running. It keeps the data available. It keeps the business in business. And it buys you time because then you can get another drive, snap it into the server, and the data from the drive that's in production will replicate to the new drive. And eventually they will catch up and reestablish redundancy, which is a good thing. Redundancy, also this, I've been installing multiple drives in servers since the 1990s. It's not a new concept. You can also have redundancy with databases because you can have a database in different locations, maybe different time zones, and have them copy or replicate data to each other and also verify the integrity. If one of the locations goes down or offsite, then another location can handle the load until issues can be fixed at that other location. And then the data can replicate so both sources or both sites will be back up and running with consistent data. You don't have to be a genius to understand this, but it is important. It is mission critical. We don't think about air travel and all the nuts and bolts behind the scenes that make it work. But let's talk about that now. And I'm going to share the screen again. Actually, it's a PowerPoint. This is a rather busy graphic. Chicago on the left, New York on the right. A pilot in New York has a long pre-flight checklist, and that involves checking in NOTAMs to make sure there are no alerts that would affect the flight from New York to Chicago. Alerts would include bad weather, would include Air Force One being somewhere en route, would include runway maintenance when you get to the destination, which in this case would be Chicago O'Hare. Provided there are no alerts, the pilot can continue with the checklist and get to the runway, then take off and get the plane to Chicago. Happens hundreds, maybe thousands of times a day. We don't really think about the details. But on Wednesday, 3 days ago, that did not happen because there was a database failure. And the database is called NOTAMs, or Notice to Air Missions. And since pilots could not get the information they needed, the FAA blocked all departures. We call this a ground stop. They determined that a database was corrupted, and the solution was restart the server that housed that database. And that worked. It got the database up and running, and the FAA canceled the ground stop at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. Then pilots were able to take off, and then air travel was able to get back to what we usually see. Now, granted, when we restart air travel after a storm or a database failure, like what happened 3 days ago, it's not an instant recovery, but slowly and surely, people and aircraft get where they need to go. Then they can take people to their destination, but it's a slow and steady process of getting things back up and running. What happened was a single point of failure. There was a single database file that was corrupted, and the FAA restarted the server that housed that, and then they were able to get everything back up and running. Redundancy did not happen here. I'm sorry. And that's why hundreds of flights could not depart on time, and air travel in our country was screwed up on Wednesday morning. I know your time is valuable. I know there are other places you could have been, but you chose to be here. You chose to listen to me, Mark Anthony Germanos, tell you that we need redundancy. Not only you personally, but our government and the FAA. Because nonsense like happened on Wednesday morning just should not happen. Come on, people, we're in 2023. Mark Anthony Germanos, have a good day, everybody.